Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Kayla and I make videos about all things BPD. I release a new video every Monday, so if that sounds good to you, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below as well as the bell notification up top. Today I want to take the time to talk about something that is very near and dear to my heart and that I know that most of you, if not all of you, can relate to this, which is this core belief that is holding you back from recovery. That belief is the belief that you cannot change. So I want to spend some time to shed some light on that belief, why we have it, and break down 3 reasons why you might be scared to change. Now, this is a fear that pops up a lot, okay? This is something that I hear a lot from different folks that I've interacted with who have BPD, from my own lived experience. It's this fear that we can't change, right? You might be telling yourself, well, what if this is just the way that I am? What if I can't change? What if recovery is not possible for me? And what if I'm just going to be like this for the rest of my life? That's a really valid fear because as human beings, we are scared of change. We're scared of the unknown because what is unknown is potentially dangerous and scary. So I want to break down really 3 fears that are holding you back from recovery. The first fear is that you're scared of the unfamiliar, of the unknown. You don't know what it's going to look like on the other side, okay? You have never experienced that, never lived it, and so it is unfamiliar. And to your subconscious mind, your primitive brain, anything that is unfamiliar is unsafe. So we have the familiar, which is safe, and the unfamiliar, which is unsafe. And that's not your fault. That's just the way that we are wired as human beings. This is an adaptive function of our brain that has kept us alive for thousands of years. The tricky part here, though, is that your brain hasn't realized that we don't live in a very dangerous environment anymore where everything needs to be very unsafe and very scary. If we think about our ancestors, whenever, for example, if they were bitten by a snake and in the future they saw things that were unfamiliar to them that looked similar to the snake, it was normal to be scared, right? Because that's a function that allowed them to stay alive and to thrive as a species. And so for you, this new brain that we call has included that changing, right, into something that is more positive and unfamiliar, is actually safe for you to do so. And so we have these adaptive functions wired within us to make us averse to change and make us feel like, well, I don't know what's on the other side, and so I'm scared, and so I just shouldn't try, and in order to stay alive, it's actually safer for me to remain the same. And like I mentioned, while this is true for our ancestors who were trying to survive different animals and harsh environments, yes, they needed to be more cautious, okay? Us, in terms of growing and evolving as a person, the correct or brave thing to do is to take that leap of faith and dive straight into change. And I know it feels scary. The more that you introduce yourself to it, the least unfamiliar it's going to get, and the safer your brain is going to deem it. So it's going to get easier along the way. So anytime that you invest in yourself, you are taking that one small step into this territory that is unfamiliar, and you're actually showing yourself that within this territory, there is great happiness and joy and healing and growth, and that this terrain is not unsafe. The second reason is that you've been living this way for a very long time. I was living with BPD symptoms for as long as I can remember, and my life was full of suffering. And after a while, when you experience that much suffering from day to day, you become desensitized to it. You begin to normalize your experience as the only way that you know how to experience the world, the only way that you know is normal. And so to some degree, when we become normalized to our experience of living with BPD symptoms and the amount of suffering that comes along with it, we actually allow space for those things to manifest. What I mean by that is that when we have this belief that this is just the way that I am, I've always been this way, well, when we start to feel emotional or impulsive, we actually lean into those things and act accordingly because they will clarify and confirm this belief that we have that this is the way that things are. This is the way that I am. And so it's not your fault, once again, right? If you've been living this way forever, I get it. I used to just think, well, this is out of my control and this is just kind of the way that I am. Things are possible. And when you do start to break down that pattern and realize that you have agency and you have control in the way that you interact with the feelings that are coming up, it just gives you this new perspective on the potential that life can offer you. Life is about experiencing. Life is about doing. Life is about being. And when you're just waiting for this next BPD episode or for the next shoe to drop, well, then you're living according to this fear that this is just the way that I am. And that is not living. And the third fear holding you back from recovery is that you have been told or led to believe that recovery needs to be extremely long and difficult. When I first started the DBT program, I remember learning the skills like radical acceptance and having willingness and open hands and a half smile and thinking to myself, like, this is stupid. Am I really going to, in an argument, do a stupid half smile on my face and just open my hands and mystically, all of a sudden, that's it, boom, I'm going to feel better and the high emotions are going to go away? And yes, the answer is yes, that it does help. So when we have this belief, because we have been led to believe that through various sources online that we're reading, it's very hard to be open-minded to the process of change. And all BPD is really, the recovery process, I should say more specifically, all it is, what it boils down to is learning new skills and unlearning past behaviors. That's a very simplistic way of putting it. I recognize that. I realize how difficult it is. I have been through the process myself, and I know that. But when we put into that perspective, it doesn't need to seem so scary anymore. And when you read things online that says that it takes 5 to 10 years to simply go into remission, not even get rid of the symptoms, and that you're going to have to manage those for the rest of your life, hell yeah, that can seem like, well, fuck that, I'm just not going to do it. I am not even going to try it because what's the purpose? I'm not going to get rid of my BPD point. That's it. That is not true. Okay? You can get rid of symptoms. It doesn't mean that it's going to change your hardwire as a person. Personally, I'm always going to be someone who's more sensitive, more attuned to my feelings, to other people's emotions. I'm going to be more anxious. I'm okay living with that, right? I'm not expecting miracles that this is going to change my genetic hardwiring. No. But you can get rid of those symptoms. You can stop fearing abandonment so much. You can develop a sense of safety and secureness within yourself that life actually has meaning, right? That you're not needing to do all of these impulsive things, that you stop self-harming, that you stop feeling this overwhelming sense of being depressed. So, recovery does not need to be extremely long and difficult. It will take a lot of hard work. I'm not going to lie about that. You are going to put your 110% into focusing on yourself so that you can change. But it is not something that needs to take 10 years to just go into remission. Setting your mind to things, being open to the process is really the key component. If you're not open, it is going to drag on for much longer than it needs to. So it's about being willing to trying different things. Think about it this way. you have been wearing the same outfit for your whole life. And so when someone tells you, okay, well, why don't you just try this new shirt on? You don't need to love this shirt. You just need to be open to putting it on, seeing how you feel with the new shirt on. If you don't like it, well, then you try another new shirt. So learning the skills, it's just about being open. It's not about loving the skills right at the beginning, because that takes time and practice. And that's really what it boils down to. Start with taking baby steps in this recovery process, okay? So the point is not to just manage the symptoms. The point is to get yourself to a point where you can enjoy life and all of the wonderful things that it has to offer you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me today. I wish you all a wonderful week, and I will see you next time for another episode of On the Line.